Hey guys, I'm Dalton,
And I'm Lauren.
and today we are going to talk about the true entrepreneur journey. So, the going through life's peaks and valleys and all of the unseen difficulties that come with business that you may not be seeing on those successful Instagram posts.
No.
This is the entrepreneurship journey so that we can grow. We're looking at the podcast and we're refining right in front of your eyes.
Yep. We noticed that we didn't smile when we talk and we don't use our hands when we talk. So from this podcast on, we're going to be doing a lot more gestures.
Hands.
And a lot more facial expressions.
We could tell that we didn't pick our nose enough and stuff too. We just had to be more us, more real.
More real.
So today, we will talk about, because we didn't know what we were going to talk about, but what's on our heart and what's easy. I will tell you this, what will be part of our journey, is that I bet in 3 months, what we're like, well, you can't, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. And then those are the things that people want to hear. It's like whenever it's too tough, it's like, gosh, you would love to say there is some good stuff that that you could put that podcast clip out and it would do great. You're like, well, I can't talk about that. Can't talk about it yet.
Yeah.
You're like, you got family, you got employees, you got all the people around you, and they listen. Our number one listeners are the Mountain Movers crew. They put it on the speaker out there and listen to it.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Oh
if you're
gosh.
listening, we love you and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the shirts. The one though today is, and it's good from your point of view because yours is different than mine would be. But the entrepreneurship journey, because you met me when I owned a business, and what you thought it looked like is probably what most people perceive, with owning a business. Like,
yes. I definitely didn't see an entrepreneur in their hustle stage. I only saw them in their extremely successful stage. So I'm like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. You get to make your own hours. You get to travel when you want. You get to, you're just the boss of your life. No one tells you what you have to do. Yeah, you make your own rules. But that is what I would call a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're more on the success side, and it's not the hustle side of the entrepreneurship.
After years or a decade.
Yeah.
Probably after a decade.
Yeah.
Alex Ramosi said 5 years to figure out what you're doing, and then it takes another 5 years to build that thing. He says normally a decade, and I'm like, gosh, that's about what it took us to feel good.
Yeah.
It was about a decade. And I think that, because just with talking with Chelsea in here too and talking about business, and she was talking about how crazy it is and the hardship, and I was like, and that is us too. I'm like, because I know the perception of somebody coming in to our office now, especially where we're at in Flatwoods, and being like, gosh, you guys just kill it and make, I bet you have fun printing money. It's like, well, there's so many crazy things that happen along the way.
Yeah, they don't see the meetings while we're all in here saying, y'all, we are losing money.
Yeah.
Actively.
Losing.
During this meeting while I'm talking to you guys. I'm watching our money just flee out of our bank account.
Yeah.
Something needs to happen right now. You can have those conversations and you can also be a successful business.
Yeah.
But again, I've talked about it before. I always thought business owning and entrepreneurship was a straight line, but it is a full-on roller coaster with loops and twists and corkscrews and the ups and the downs.
Yeah, and it gets crazy. I'm like, then that was part of my week, because this one's so easy for me to, like, when you talked about the entrepreneur journey, and
we're about 7 years into our Mountain Movers journey, but you yourself are probably 12 years-ish into like full entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
When did you start Grand Slam?
At 20.
Okay. And you're like, what?
Almost 34.
Yeah. So about 14 years into entrepreneurship.
And what it takes. I know. And it is nuts because, and I will look at people, and like I've seen people around here and have said, I'm like, dude, I don't think they're killing it like you think. And people will normally think that I'm like just hating. Like, oh, you just think that they're, and I'm like, no, I just know there is certain laws and facts and principles of business that become more clear and more evident later. And one of them is incredible growth. Like, incredible growth normally, 99% of the time, is going to equal, a normally less profit. And obviously you're going to have way more headaches, along the way because you're growing
Yes.
and the challenges that you were never prepared for.
Growing is painful.
Yeah.
Just like staying the same is painful, growing is painful. I think people would look at us from the outside, from our social media, from our website, take a look around our office. They wouldn't think that we have conversations where we look at each other and we're like, we are losing money.
Yeah.
How do we get out of this?
Losing money.
This last month was this amount of money. This month is this amount of sales. Oh my gosh, how did we get here? They probably think, again, it's just once you reach a certain point,
You just keep growing
you just keep
followers and
going
money.
up. Yeah.
And it's always a fight. I'm definitely always ready to fight. And I would say one thing specific to that is after COVID, because that affected everybody.
Yes.
And this is the after COVID, this is everything this is the after COVID effect that everyone's experiencing in some way. And I'm like, I mean that because I think that buyer behavior was changed. I think that the way that we push Black Friday, the Q4, so many different things, elements shifted for a couple of years that people are thinking, well, COVID's over. I'm like, but the lasting impression that it has is still there. So we're still getting, we still don't even have previous data where you used to e-commerce pre-COVID was very, very predictable. And so we could predict this month it goes down a little bit, this month it comes back up, and then everybody really starts buying shirts around here, and then Q4, October, people are holding money a little bit because they know that November's coming, then November and December until about the 15th. And then that's just not true anymore. You have no idea.
You think post-COVID buyer behavior is
Changed
so
everything.
different that we can't really look back at data too much. Honestly, we're literally riding waves, riding the wave of buyer behavior.
Riding the wave of that. Because if you picture that people got money, the reason why I say that there's an effect is that there's a cycle that people aren't aware of that they go through just as humans, in the sense that let's say that it was April or, whenever they got a stimulus check, they had extra money. And then it started.
Those days were so good, weren't they, people?
Those were
Give
good
me my
days.
stimulus
The
check.
Old stimmy. And
Bought a hot tub.
We did buy a hot tub immediately with our entire amount.
Yeah. That was fun. Sorry.
No, you're good. But basically that buyer behavior, because they're going to buy, and then let's say that they needed to put something on a card, and eventually you've created a timeline where you're like, well, May is whenever we do vacations, whenever we do this, and whenever I've paid that card back off by then. So you've kind of started training your mind and your financial, the way that you're running your finances and stuff, that you're able to be like, well, I pay the card off then, and then I start buying stuff, and we prepare for this trip. And I think there's so much of that, of shirts, of the Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all of that stuff got shifted.
I think we talk about how Cyber Monday and Black Friday are not a thing anymore.
They're not a thing.
Honestly, it begins in October. If you don't begin in late October, you're late to the game on your sales. And then
whenever the bigger stores start pushing it, they can change everything.
Yeah. We definitely, as a smaller business, we do have to follow the movement orders of the larger businesses.
They tell us
when
when
Amazon runs Amazon Prime days, we're running our sales too. Because it's people got their wallets out, they're ready to buy. And if I wait till Amazon Prime Days finish to run my Mountain Movers sale, people have already spent everything on Amazon Prime. They tell us when to run our sales.
I know. In Q4, everyone, because there was always the stats of just wait till, you're going to make so much money back Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We don't even have a crazy, you have the sales go up and stuff, but it's not even nuts anymore. We've always talked about
how we hate Black Friday.
I hate
People
Black Friday.
would look at a business and be like, you getting excited for Black Friday? You're going to, really bring in the money. And we actually notice that people hold their money so long, you get a huge jump of a couple days to where now you're backed up in your shop. You're backed up.
You were not prepared for that.
Then people hold their money again. It's honestly a horrible system.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are we grateful that Black Friday has shifted? That it's not just a 3-day thing anymore?
No, I wish it was that.
Is almost more of the
whole thing. It would be like saying Black Friday is you fasted the whole month of November only to eat. at Thanksgiving. And it's like, yeah, that was a ton of food. And it's like, and you fasted all the other days.
And
So
you had-
you lost.
Yeah.
Like our Septembers are higher than our Novembers
Yeah.
simply because you got these
People
just
are holding their
crap
money for Black Friday.
days
Yeah.
before. And then you're like, gosh, I got to run a sale. But, you know, you want to remain genuine and we don't want to like, you know, we want to have actual sales. But now we're forced to, and we already ran one and, you know, you're running sales. It is a crazy thing.
It is a crazy time, I feel like, for businesses, is that like October, November, December month.
This was the first year I saw other people saying the same thing, though. That they were like, like Q4 just isn't the same thing.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, and exactly that, because if it does pop, and it will pop those few days, then it just makes, you know, it's like, okay, we don't have, our systems aren't ready for, you know, to go to $50,000, you know, day if you're doing 20 grand. You're like, and so now you got to boost up to get this out, keep the same quality, and then get ready. And maybe you just brought people in, and then it's like, all right, I've got all these people that have started working here, but then sales just
Drop after that. Yeah.
drop.
It's really hard on businesses, in my opinion.
Q4 is a horrible thing. I'm gonna come up with whatever was the whole thing of why Macy's or something started Black Friday. I'm like, then now it's time. The
What, we need
daylight
to
savings
reverse
time.
it?
We're gonna reverse something with it.
Deal.
We're gonna
Let's
change
just talk
something
to Trump
Black.
about it.
Yeah,
Trump will do something.
we'll do something with old Doge and get them to take care of Black Friday. It's not efficient enough.
Agreed.
We'll redo it.
Yeah.
Like, so with this one, I always talking to other business owners or anyone, and I want them to know the challenges, because the facade, like, and it's not even necessarily that people are intentional about wanting it to look fake or facade, but if you look at Mountain Movers, you know, because of our ads, I mean, the main thing that we're going to spend money on is our ads that we're promoting to the world, you know, of happy, fun, and in the shirts, which is true. And it's like, but we're not at a platform or where anybody hears us on the back end. And so I picture this little person, you know, somebody wanting to start their little shop in Etsy, and they're like, well, because that was you before. I feel like that you would look and be like, well, look at them killing it, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I definitely had an issue with comparing journeys and took social media as real life.
Yeah.
And then I saw what we had to do on our part. And even though, yes, we were putting our best foot forward on social media, the back end of things was not the best foot. It was messy. It was hard. It's grueling. It's a hustle. And it also is filled with good things, but you're definitely putting your best foot forward on social media. And so when I would look at other business journeys, entrepreneurs, Etsy shops, I was like, you're only seeing their best foot. If you're not in the business, don't look into it, honestly.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
I would always assume the hardest on the other side. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to know, you know, the challenges and stuff that other people are going to face. And it's always way harder and takes way longer than what you think. And so I'm like, which the thought behind that leading into why would anyone choose that? Why did we do it? You know, because it is definitely a harder, more friction path. And so, but there's obviously a reason that you want to choose that path. Why would you? Just because of me?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that you and I were meant to be together. So if I think of it from that way, I'm like, you are an entrepreneur and I am not. But being on this journey with you has brought out really cool things in me that I didn't know I had. It's made me look at you and be like, look at this man who's a literal genius. Like, yes, you've had your failures, but honestly, everything that you've touched has succeeded and growed. Growed?
Turn that one into a clip
Grew?
with the genius part. And just for me doing this.
And he's a genius. So I've had years of literally having to work through my negative thoughts about our journey, because I was so mad at it.
Yeah.
That it was so much harder than what I thought it was going to be when we started Mountain Movers. But now I do feel like even though it's not like this, we are on the other side of that of the hustle, or not the hustle, but
The valley, like, I mean, I say valley of despair, but
Yeah.
only because that's the part of it that's figuring out all the difficulties. Because
yeah, we're on the other side of figuring out all the difficulties. We're seasoned. Any
Yeah.
difficulty that comes our way, we're kind of like, we've done this before. Our tolerance is now higher for when
tolerance
we
is
have
higher.
low sales days. For
We're
when
more
yeah.
informed optimists now.
Yeah.
Like we know, like we feel confident that we can figure it out.
Yes.
Have the resources. So like through that stratosphere of uncertainty if we're going to make it or not, we're
Yeah.
through that.
So now that I'm on the other side of that, I feel like I'm starting to like, okay, let's work out these negative thoughts that I had of this, because that's not my life anymore.
Yeah.
What it looked like 6 years ago when we were up in our house and I was slaving away at these bracelets with my hands crumbling.
Crumbling out the wheel.
I mean, my hands were like withering away, just so disgusting to look at. And so now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be negative about this anymore. Let me see where I am. What am I truly thankful for? Be in this moment, look around, and what does the journey look like for me now? And it's produced a lot of gratitude in me for where we are and for you and for us doing this together.
No, I think so.
Yeah.
Because like, how do you think that you handle? Because your biggest new journey then is your own personal brand, which if it was before, like how tough that would have been.
I've said no to years.
Yeah.
No, I've said no 4 years to a personal brand.
Probably 3 years.
I couldn't do it. I was just like, it's too much for me. I mean, I just remember kind of going back though. I remember getting so sick, like physically sick, over when you would say something like, man, why aren't the ads kicking today? The pit in my stomach that would grow. Oh, it just like, my physical body took a hit when I would hear you say that.
Yeah.
But now, since we're seasoned, since I'm an informed optimist, I'm on the other side of the valley of despair. You say something like that, and I know, okay, all we need is a solution on the other side.
Yeah.
So let's work on this. But for years, it would feel like knots were in, like someone just punched me in the belly when you were like,
oh, nut
man,
kick.
why aren't our ads kicking?
Yeah.
And I was like,
we're
oh no.
dying.
Yeah, we're
This is the
dying.
end.
We have no money. How am I going to afford groceries this week?
Which was true.
Our electric's going to get shut off. I immediately went downhill fast because I knew it's up to us. In order to get our sales to kick, you and I need to do something, and that's a lot of pressure. But now, since we're seasoned, the pressure's not so big anymore.
Allison does it.
Allison
does it.
Yeah.
And handles the pressure.
We pass the pressure to Allison.
She has it. No, I think so. And I think any reward or anything, like even fitness, like let me tell you something about that dude that looks shredded, or the girl, like the difficulty they go through. You look at, gosh, they just get to walk around and just live this normal. And I'm like, nope. From the other side, the discipline and probably hate for looking at you getting to eat that. Because I know at the best shape that I was in, it was like the jealousy and almost hate that would fill my heart to watch somebody enjoy a burger. Mm-hmm. When you're like, no, I just have to eat this little broccoli and salmon that I have. This broccoli pre-workout shake and salmon.
I remember you making that. We were just friends at that point, and I was like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm adding broccoli to my pre-workout
As before
shake.
AG1 was on every influencer's feed, nor could I have afforded it.
Yeah.
But
shout out to AG1 though. We love them.
And they can sponsor us.
They can 100% sponsor us.
We've given you thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes, we have.
And we've been with you the whole never canceled.
We were with you, AG1, before the influencers
Your Athletic
were a
Greens.
thing.
We were before Joe Rogan.
Yeah, they reached out to me and said, next time you go on a trip, let me know and I'll give you some free travel packs. And I was like, okay.
Did that really happen?
Yeah. I tag them every time I make my morning drink. Every time I post my morning drink that I make, I tag them. And they always reach out and say, oh, we love you. Thanks for being with us. And this most recent one, I said, I ran home to make my Athletic Greens drink because we just traveled and I didn't have any travel packs and I don't have my life together enough to pre-order travel packs before I go on a trip. And so they said, this is so relatable, more than you know. Let us know the next time you go on a trip and we'll send you travel packs.
My gosh. Tell them that you're heading to Nashville.
So, we love you, AG1.
We love you. would be I definitely want people to see. We could talk about the positives in another time, or you could end with that. Like, what are the positives on the other side? Of that, of what you could tell someone, because mine was that seemed clearer to me from the beginning, that it was like it was for that six pack, or it was for that to be in shape. So I'm like, I didn't care what the sacrifice was. I knew that there's always a cost associated with anything good or anything rewarding, anything that the rest of society looks at and is like, that is a great perk, that is a win, that is a, like, this person has made it in some area of life, always has a cost association with it that people forget, and they don't think that. And so mine is, I've always been like, this is fine with me. Whatever it was fine. And so I wanted the later to say, you could say like a couple weeks ago, it wasn't some hard plan on my end, but to be like, we're going to go, Wiley's out of school for spring break. We want to go to Indianapolis, and that was what I'd always envisioned. So I could push through for 12 years to get there.
You've always had the long-term vision of that.
Yeah.
So I would just say, just know that the hustle is going to be harder than what you think. It's going to take longer than what you think, but the perks are on the other side if you keep going.
And the difficulty doesn't mean that you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It will be difficult. And the people you're looking at, it's harder than what they're telling you.
For sure.
It's harder, and they're probably making less money than what you assume that they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're doing math backwards on shirts, and stuff, and it's like, but if we don't continue to advertise and put money back, then you're fading. So it's always harder. You're not alone. It's okay if it seems tough and you seem like you're not as successful as somebody close that started at the same time or even after you. Like, the main thing is the determination and the grit.
And if you don't have the determination and the grit, don't do it.
Don't do it.
It'll be hell.
We said that. It is not the only way. There's
Yeah.
other great ways and great jobs and great ways to do things. It's like that you can do the vacation, and so you have to decide as a couple, or by yourself, like what you want to do and what's worth the cost associated with it. Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money?
Yep.
We love you, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.